Okay, good morning class. We have here an example picture of an aircraft troubleshooting chart, meaning how are you going to troubleshoot. This is a sample of a logic reasoning. So as you can see on the picture, there are two sides. On the left side, if the system does it move, if no, there's no problem. If yes, you have to need a WD-40. Maybe it needs it needs a lubricant or a corrosion resistant in order the system will work. On the right side, if yes, you can see a packaging tape. No, on the right side, maybe it needs a packaging tape in order to work the system. No, so this is only an example for a logic reasoning on how are we going to troubleshoot an aircraft. Okay, we have a 7 distinct troubleshooting steps. No, the first step is we have to conduct a visual inspection. So what is visual inspection? Meaning you have to check all the attachment, the units, the link, no, atong tanawon if there is a leak or unsay atong makita upon visual inspection, no. So naatay mga initial information if we conduct a visual inspection. And then for the second step, conduct an operational check. Okay, so maybe we can identify the system malfunction or a subsystem malfunction. Kung asa nga system siya naa nag-trouble. No, then classify the trouble. So for the modern aircraft, we have 4 major source. So like for example, the hydraulic, pneumatic, mechanical, and electrical, no. So if for example, during the step number 1 and number 2, you find out that the trouble, for example, is in hydraulic. So maybe you have to test. You have to use a ground power unit in order to test if that is the hydraulic system is in malfunction, no. For the number 4, you have to isolate the trouble. So meaning isolate the trouble. You have a complete knowledge on a particular system. You have to understand the system, the entire hydraulic system, in order to operate or to identify the trouble or the problem. Then number 5, you have to correct the trouble. So in most generally, you have to detach all unnecessary in order to save time, and maka-save ka sa imong oras sa imong work. And then last is to conduct a final operational check, no. So once you correct the trouble, you have to test it. So maybe 3 or 5 times you are going to operate if the trouble is already eliminated, no. So if you have to correct the trouble, so at least you have to follow the manual for the safety and warning. Okay, so those are the 7 distinct troubleshooting steps. And then we have here the engine troubles and the remedies. Now, in general, during the operation of the internal combustion engines, various troubles may at some time develop. Rarely will an aircraft engine function properly even between overhaul periods without requiring minor adjustment or repair. No, not dili tanan nga atong ang butang dili gyud siya maguba, no, especially sa aircraft engines. Every time siya nga mag-operate, so there is possibility nga naay troubles, no, even if bago siyang gi-overhaul. So naa gyud na siya mga possible nga trouble, no. So visual inspection will not reveal the cause of the engine trouble. Therefore, a definite system of trouble finding must be followed to eliminate them successfully. Okay? Then, other than mechanical defects such as breaking parts, burning out of bearings, etc., engine troubles are determined by their symptom or effect on the operation, no. So for faulty operation of a single cylinder engine or even 4-cylinder engine can be readily detected. Okay? So kung isa lang kuno or upat ka cylinder ang makina, dali ra na siya mahibaw-an, madiskitaan nato. Pero kung ang iyang engine composed of 6 or 12-cylinder engine, the problems becomes more difficult, no. Regardless the number of cylinder incorporated in an aircraft engine, when correctly proportioned charge is compressed and properly ignited in each cylinder, the noise of the exhaust will be heard each time this event takes place in the cylinder at the opening of the exhaust valve. So kung normal lang ang imuhang makina, way problema, smooth ang iyang operation, unya mahibaw-an na to ang iyang murag timing sa during sa iyang exhaust, murag magsunod lang ang iyang fire, di ba? Naman tay firing order ana, no. Kung if there is a possible defects, mahibaw-an na to tungod sa dili na murag synchronize or timing ang iyang exhaust during sa pag-fire sa engine. Then if ever 6 or more cylinders, there is a rhythm for the exhaust, murag nay rhythm ang iyang exhaust. So once nga maguba ang iyang rhythm sa iyang exhaust, murag nay order, di ba? But pasabot nga naa gyud na siya depekto, no. So dili proportion ang iyang charge, no. When correctly proportioned charge is compressed and properly ignited in each other, the noise of the exhaust will be heard each time this event takes place in the cylinder at the opening of the exhaust valve. So kung naa siya kanang timing, no, kung normal ang imuhang internal combustion engine, naa siya timing or timing ang iyang firing order once nga ang iyang exhaust valve mag-open, no, murag synchronize. So once gani nga dili siya mag-synchronize, there is a defect or malfunction sa imuhang engine. Okay? So I hope it is clear. And then we have classification of engine troubles. So many troubles or defects affect the operation of an engine. For example, carburation, ignition, or combustion troubles may be the cause of the lost power, faulty wiring, or stopping an engine. So in many cases, ignition, carburation, or compression trouble cause missing or uneven firing is identically the same manner, no? So kasagaran sa internal combustion engine, ang iyahang trouble lang yun naa sa ignition, carburation, o compression. Then these engine troubles are classified into local and general. Okay, unsa man ng local? Kung mingon tag local, may be classified as troubles which affect the operation of only part of the cylinder of the engine. Okay, take note. Only part of the cylinder of an engine. Whereas in general, it affect the operation of the entire engine. Okay? So, we have here the troubles. No? We have here for the compression, number 1, for the compression troubles, mostly, practically, all cases are local. No? Unsa gani itong local? Only one part of the cylinder of an engine. No? It affect the operation only part of the engine. So in the case of compression troubles, practically all cases are local. No? For instance, a broken piston or piston ring, a warp or sticking valve, or leaky spark plug gasket only cause that cylinder in which they are located to operate faultily at low speed without affecting of the other cylinders. Okay? So, mostly or in all cases sa compression trouble classified as local. No? So, in the compression trouble, it turns to general if when no oil is present on cylinder wall. In this condition, the engine would not operate. Okay, maura na siya nga ang compression trouble turns to general kung ang imuhang cylinder wall wala nay acidity. So, syempre, oil is for lubrication. So, wala naman siya mag-lubricate. So, dili na mo slide ang imuhang, for example, ang imuhang piston sa imuhang cylinder wall. So, and if that times happen, mo ungot. Okay, dili naman mo slide. So, in that case, ang compression trouble, maura na nga way nga mahimong general. Okay? So, again, ang compression trouble are practically all cases are local. No? For instance, a broken piston ring, a warp or sticking valve, leaky spark plug gasket only cause that cylinder in which they are located. So, isa lang ka portion. For the second trouble, which is the carburation, either local or general, no? A dividing line can be drawn in the fuel and carburation system. Okay, for instance, an aircraft engine employing one carburetor, either dual or triple, any trouble developed in the flow chamber, strainer, or any part of the fuel system will affect the operation of the entire engine. Okay? That is for general, no? Any trouble developed in the flow chamber, strainer, or any part of the fuel system will affect the operation of the entire engine. Okay? That is for general. So, in what way nga ma-classified siya as local? Okay. Whereas, any trouble developed in one of the channel passageways, jets, or intake manifold will affect the operation of only part of the cylinder of the engine. Okay? Kung imuhang makita, kaning flow chamber or kanang imuhang strainer that is the main component of the system. So, siguro kung ang strainer lang pwede na to pwede na to nga murag naa siya'y ma-relief or naa siya'y ma-detour na to. Pero in terms of flow chamber, once nga mabara na siya, so maapektuhan ang imuhang entire system. Okay? Kung sa local, kay ang imuhang passageways, mura man siya og individual kanang imuhang mga jets or kaning imuhang intake manifold, naaman siya duha ka passageway, mao na nga bisan pa na siya og ma-ruptured or ma-block, napay uban nga makapagi padung sa imuhang to work the carburation system. So mao na siya nga ma-classified lang as local. So that is for carburation troubles. Okay? So the third trouble is the ignition. No? Either classified also either as local or general. So for the general, when ignition trouble classified as general, whether battery generator or magneto ignition with a dividing line falling between the distributor rotor arm segment and the distributor segment, because this component or this portion is a section. So but pasabot mura sila og compact usa ka section. So once gani nga ang imuhang generator or the magneto ignition naa diha ang ihang trouble, kay usa man na siya ka section, mo na maapektuhan ang imuhang the entire engine. So that is classified as general, no? So any trouble developed in rotor, arm assembly, coil, breaker mechanism, or unit back to the source of current will affect the operation of the entire engine. Okay? For the local, classified as local troubles, any developed in distributor segments, high tension lead, assembly, or spark plug will affect operation only part of the cylinder. So that is the local troubles for the ignition. Okay? So sa internal combustion engine, if ever na ay mga troubles, classified na sila into local and general. Kung ang local, it affect only part of the engine. And then kung ang general, mauna ang it can affect the entire engine. And then sa ilahang troubles, we have only 3. So mingon ta compression, carburation, o ignition. So compression mao na ang mga mechanical parts, no, mga piston, mga connecting rod, bearing, ingon ana. Then for the carburation and the fuel system, mao na ang mga carburetor, mga strainer. So those are for the fuel system. And then for the ignition, so mao ning mga spark plug, magneto, no? So only 3 ang iyahang troubles: compression, ignition, o carburation. Okay. Next is the systematic elimination of engine trouble. So how are you going to eliminate the engine troubles? So by local reasoning. So mao na akong giingon ganina earlier nga reasoning. So unsa man ang local reasoning? That is showing consistency of reasoning. So constant or consistency, no, maintain. So determined by the behavior of the engine in operation is the successful method to eliminate the engine trouble. So the behavior of the engine during the operation at idling, speed, low speed, medium, and high speed must be determined accurately before reasoning out the cause of the trouble, no? So generally, more time spent in operating an engine in which trouble has developed in forming accurate deduction as to the sound of exhaust from the cylinder at the different engine speed, the less time will be required for eliminating the cause. So kung saon na to pag-eliminate, diba, we have 4 type sa imuhang speed, diba, different type of speed or engine operation. So kung imuha kuno siyang paandaron, more time imuhang spend sa imuhang engine trouble nga develop, dali ra nimo makit-an or mahibaw-an ang iyahang possible nga trouble. And then in the event of the engine is not operating properly, the nature of trouble should first be determined. Okay? So we have here a typical example of symptom of trouble, diba? Upat man to ka iyahang speed, no? Kung mingon gali tag idling speed, that is below 500 RPM. And then kung mingon tag low speed, 750 RPM. Then kung medium speed, 1000 RPM. Kung high speed, 100,000 above RPM. Okay, on this example, during the operation in the idling speed, the one cylinder wheel cuts out, and then both switches are on. Okay, ang imuhang usa ka cylinder mawala or mapahong. Only one cylinder sa idling speed, and then for the low, medium, and high speed are all the same. Only one cylinder will cut out, and then both switches are on. So unsa may imuhang, how are you going to classify on this problem? So since it is only one cylinder will cuts out, you have to classify it to the trouble is local, no? So why? Because only one cylinder is affected. No, so kahibaw na ta nga lokal. So atong pangitaon kung under ba siya sa compression, carburation, o ignition. So in the case of compression, it must be reasoned that the broken or worn piston ring will not cause of the complete loss of compression in a cylinder, especially at high speed, ba? So therefore, if the trouble is compression, may be due to exhaust valve sticking open, in which case a pronounced blowing through exhaust valve is noticeable. Okay? So, kay bawo naman ta nga local, kay usa man. So, arita sa local tanan sa compression. So, kung local ko no, ang imuhang broken or worn imong piston ring, unsa pa to katong uban nga mga bearing, imuhang mga gasket, dili siya maka-complete loss of compression in a cylinder, labi na kung high speed. So, mao na nga daay possibility nga ang imuhang exhaust valve nag-stick ra siya og open, wala na mo balik og close. So, kung makaingon ka nga kung under siya sa local compression, mauna na siya problema nga ni-stick ang imuhang exhaust valve. Pero, kung nag-stick siya, imuhang man-notice nga ang imuhang exhaust, mura siya og mo blow or sa to pa murag bubuto. Ba? Blowing through exhaust valve is noticeable since the exhaust valve is sticking open. Okay? And then, under the carburation, in practically all aircraft engine, its intake manifold conveys the fuel charge to 2 or more cylinder. So therefore, it can be reasoned that indicated trouble cannot be classed under carburation, even though the mixture entering the cylinder is disrupted or more than one cylinder would be affected. So in that example, sa under sa carburation, wala siya problema. Kay usara man, diba? Kay kung ang imuhang carburation sa imuhang fuel system, ang imuhang intake manifold kay duha man na siya ka tube, mura baga left and right. So if either nga ang usa na disrupted, naapay usa nga mo charge, diba? Unya, take note nga only one cylinder is cut out. And then nganong isa raman, kung under sa carburation, kinahanglan kung naa siya naapektuhan, mo na kinahanglan siya mo appeal ang uban nga cylinder. So under sa carburation, wala siya problema. Okay? Then for the ignition trouble, sa local, classified as local, could be in the distributor segment, high tension lead or spark plug. But due to the fact, two independent ignition systems are employed on practically on all aircraft engine. So it is not likely that the above trouble would occur in both distributors or both high tension leads at the same time when both switches are open. Okay, kung sa giingon niya nganong ang isa raman nga mo cut out, nga kung kana man gani ang iyang problema, ang distributor segment, high tension lead ug spark plug, dili pwede kay duha ka buok ang iyang switches gaon, then duha ka buok ang iyang kanang muraga supply. And then kung arita sa however, no, it is very probable that if a condition exists in an engine cylinder to foul one spark plug, the other would be also affected. Okay? So, kung mo-foul man gani ang imuhang isa ka spark plug, musunod na pod ang uban. So, meaning, in that example, ang iyahang problema is under compression trouble. So, ang iyahang problema is nag-stick ang imuhang exhaust valve nga always lang siya open under local. Okay? So, when analyzing the trouble, the most common cause should be checked first. There are numerous uncommon troubles which have similar symptoms to the common troubles. However, this would only be checked after the possibility of the most common troubles had been eliminated. So, naidaghang mga uncommon troubles nga the same ang ilahang symptoms. Pero, kunya na nato na siya bantayan kung ang common troubles imuha nang na-correct. So, if ever you correct the common troubles and then still the trouble is there, so maybe there's another trouble. Okay? I hope you understand the topic. And I give you also the PDF I sent on the classroom. Okay? So, if you have question, we will take up during our Google Meet. Thank you and good evening.